depression. I am aware that it is very delicate. I'm aware that it gets overlooked a lot. And I also understand that it has been trivialized. People have just diminished the entire word itself and the value of it and the impact that it has on people and people's lives. So my intention today is to hopefully help you identify moments that can possibly save your life and save the life of someone that you consider very close or someone that you care for. It's not something that I would wish on anyone because it does bring you to a very dark place. It's so bleaky. It's like there is no way out, and depression doesn't necessarily have a certain look or a certain sound or a certain behavior, but it does have commonalities where you might be able to pinpoint and identify that, okay, this might be what this is, but it doesn't have just a specific kind of look, because there is also something called high functioning depression where you're able to just adequately go about your day, go about your life, still completing your task, still showing up, still doing what you're supposed to do while suffering from depression. So I don't know. I understand that people have just kind of swept it under the rug. It's not really something that people talk about because most of us, we don't know how to deal with it, how to handle it fully. And people ridicule you. And I've heard people just say some things that I'm just like, what? Instead of educating yourself, you're just gonna throw things out and just I've personally heard people say, well, you're alive, you're healthy, you have a roof over your head, you have a place to lay your head, you have food, so how can you be depressed? And I do feel like those are very ignorant statements to make, because not because someone has a home or means of transportation or food does not mean that mentally and emotionally they're not going through things. There are things that traumatizes us. And when it traumatizes you and you don't have an outlet, the only person who bears the grunt of that is you. You take it out on you. And depression is something that is very serious. People literally take their lives because they feel like it's so much better to not be here. And my condolences to everyone who felt the need to just exit life on their terms. Sometimes they're in predicaments where they just feel like there's no one around that they can vent to or open up to or talk about things with, because if you're going through something, and sometimes people do hypotheticals just to see what your response is going to be. And if you are surrounded by people who discredits the fact that things might affect you in a deeper way, and sometimes you don't even know what it is that's probably affecting you, just know that you're going through a moment in your life where everything just seems so dark, so bleak, so gloomy, and it just seems like there is no light inside. If you're surrounded by people who you can't even talk to about that, then yes, you're gonna feel like you're by yourself. And sometimes when it feels like there is no end in sight, then yeah, you feel like, I don't want to be here anymore. It is not my intention to trigger anyone in this video, but I just wanted to shed some light so maybe you can be aware of it in case it's happening to people around you, or if it is happening to you, then you can get some help. Unfortunately, many of us probably won't be interested in seeking professional help because therapy, who wants to go through psychotherapy? Who wants to go and vent to a stranger about the things that you're going through? Because oftentimes you're met with, well, it could have been worse, and there's other people out there who has it worse than you, so you should just kind of shut the hell up and just deal with it. But then when they resort to taking their lives, then you have people talking about, man, I wish they would have spoken to me, and why would you, and that's so selfish, and then completely ignoring the fact that there were signs, but you just weren't interested in looking. People ask for help in different ways. They might not be the person who's able to come to you and be like, hey, I'm going through something and I could use a friend. Some people, they do feel like they don't want to be a bother, and if they don't want to be a bother, then they won't want to bring their problems to your life and annoy you and stress you. Yes, maybe you'd look at it like, you're not stressing me, you're not annoying me, but they're going through a mental war. They are going through a state of worthlessness, hopelessness, hatred of themselves. Sometimes when people are going through things, they don't really want you to give them a solution, because 9 out of 10 times they know the solution. They probably just want you to listen. And if you're going to be a person who has not mastered the art of listening, then I'm sorry, they're not going to want to talk to you. And you're going to feel like, oh my God, I'm so understanding and I'm so caring. Why couldn't they talk to me? They tried, but you weren't listening. Yes, it would have been better if they could have just black and white said, hey, I feel like I'm going to harm myself because I'm going through something. But if you're someone who has your blockers up, you don't know what the key takeaways are. You have not just sat and listened to what someone is going through. You haven't been able to put yourself in their position. Sometimes it's so simple to you, but that's life or death for them. It's not on you to influence someone to want to live. So I'm not blaming you in the event that you had someone who probably took their lives because they felt like, based on whatever they were going through, you weren't there for them, or you didn't show up for them, or you probably just wouldn't hear them out. I'm not saying that it's on you. What a person chooses to do is ultimately their decision. But sometimes it helps to know that I can talk to this person and I will not be judged. Sometimes people listen to you, and you might not be talking about them. You might be talking about other people, but they're going to listen to the way how you deal. They're going to view, they're going to visualize and listen to the way how you talk about other people, to the way how you do certain things. And before a message is conveyed to you from that person who's depressed or who's going through something, they're going to be like, okay, this person won't be the best outlet for me to let out what I'm going through. And sure, maybe the bond that you and them have is different from you and whoever else you might be talking about, but they don't know that you care that much, probably. And so they're thinking, well, damn, if this person is dealing with this person that way, then how are they going to deal with me? You know, people observe, people think, and people worry. They hear you. So no, depression and somebody going to the point where they take themselves out, that's not ultimately on you. But if you really care, sometimes you have to be able to listen so that you can properly identify keywords and key phrases and key moments that, hey, my friend or my family member is not as okay as they're putting on. Sometimes it's the friends that seem like they're always happy, they're always helping others, they're always figuring things out for everyone, they give the best advice, they love the hardest. Sometimes they're the ones who are most depressed, but they don't have an outlet because they can't trust anyone around them enough to be vulnerable to that point where they're like, okay, because technically no one likes to be judged. And if you're going to open up to a person who's just going to look at you crazy and talk to you crazy because you're going through a very low moment, then, I mean, how does that help them? No, it's not on you to help anyone. But if it's someone that you claim to care for and claim to have love for, I mean, would it hurt you to just listen to what's bothering them? I'll read some notes that I made regarding depression, and hopefully it can help you or help someone around you. Depression is a serious mental disorder that affects how you feel, how you think, how you act, and how you perceive the reality that you're in. It's characterized by feelings of sadness, hopelessness, loss of interest, no pleasure in activities that were normally part of your day-to-day life, or normally puts a smile on your face, or you're normally just a big fan of. I'll list some of the key aspects of depression, and hopefully it can help you identify with yourself or with people around you. Persistent sadness and low moods, loss of interest or pleasure, difficulty concentrating and remembering, feelings of guilt and worthlessness, thoughts of death or suicide, really serious, guys, and fatigue and low energy. Some of the causes of depression are imbalances in your brain chemistry, traumatic life experiences, stressful life experiences, and medical conditions can also contribute to causes of depression. It can also be genetic. It can be a history, passed down onto you genetically. Some major types of depressions are postpartum depressions, women and pregnancy. I understand that sometimes we romanticize pregnancies, and I mean, it is a wonderful thing for all the mothers out there who's able to experience that and bring life, but it is a trauma, and we don't really talk about what happens while you're pregnant or what happens after your pregnancy and how it affects you. Like, no one really shines a light on that because it is glorified. And don't get me wrong, it seems like a beautiful journey, but the person is going through a traumatic life change. They are experiencing things that a next person may not experience, but they shut up about it mostly because people have just looked at it like, how can you speak so badly of such a beautiful moment? You don't know how to appreciate the process of birth. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, people are literally going through things and you're here villainizing them because they are experiencing it in a different way. Pregnancies seem like beautiful things, but it is a very serious thing, and a lot of women don't make it, and a lot of women don't feel connected to themselves at the end of it. I have spoken to people who have been through some things while they're pregnant, but they're just taught to grin and bear it because it's beautiful to have a child. Then there is seasonal affective disorder, which happens during specific seasons like fall or winter. There are treatable options available, such as psychotherapy, which is where they do like cognitive behavioral therapy and interpersonal therapy. Then there are medications like antidepressants. I don't personally think I would recommend antidepressants. Again, it affects everyone differently, but I've had friends who took antidepressants for their depressions and they turn out way worse than before they were taking it. So, I mean, your body chemistry is different. Each person's body chemistry is different, so it might affect people differently. That's what I have to say about that. Some of us, we can tell when we're depressed. Me personally, my depression is kind of like high functioning. I think I just carry out my days and just when I have my privacy to myself after I'm done doing people activities and I'm done with work and I'm done with everything and I'm just by myself. I mean, that's where I try to let it out, but sometimes I'm not able to let it out because I'm just like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to deal with what I'm going through. I don't have time to identify the things that are affecting me because there are more important things to do. And to be fair, what's more important than you? But we've been made to feel guilty for taking time to ourselves. So even when you're depressed and your mood is crappy and your day is just long and annoying and dragging, you still have to be finding things to do in hopes that you can just shut yourself out because who has time to deal with themselves? Maybe you can identify some ways in yourself, maybe you can identify some ways in people around you, and just be careful of how we carry ourselves. Be mindful of how we do things and what we say to people because we never know what someone is going through. And someone can look as normal and someone can look as happy and they're literally at war with their inner. In today's society, it is trivialized, it is overlooked, it is tossed to the side, and no one really dives into it with themselves, because how can I be depressed when I have everything going on for me? Does that make me selfish? Am I ungrateful because someone has it worse than me and I'm complaining about something else that is not as important? But you're important, yes. Other people may have it worse than you, but that's not an excuse for you to block yourself from taking care of you. It is a mindset that we're gonna have to get out of, because it is like enforced across generations that you should always be grateful because someone has it worse than you. Yes, you can be grateful because you have basic necessities. Yes, someone might have it worse than you, but yes, despite all that being the outcome, my war with myself, my inner, my peace, my mental and emotional health, that's going on too. So should I not shed a light on it because somebody has it worse than me? Depression, it comes and goes sometimes, and sometimes it just stays. Sometimes a person who looks sad, they're not depressed, they're happy. That's just their face. And sometimes a person who looks happy and easygoing and flowing and just, glowing, they're the ones who are really torn up inside. They're the ones who could use a moment of your time. They're the ones who could just really use a helping hand. They're the ones who could probably really use a hug. People go through things every day. Some things they don't speak on because they don't want to sound like they're ridiculous for pinpointing the things that are building up such resentment of themselves. I don't know, but maybe it is a case where if you're able to identify some of the things that are classified as depressive episodes and just depression on a whole, I hope that you have at least one person that you can speak to. And if not, there are numbers and there are sanctuaries that you can go to and literally just talk about it. If you feel like you might harm yourself, please just reach out to anyone. There are support groups, there are hotlines that you can call, and sure, you can meditate and you can try to self-heal, but if you feel like you are beyond that, and if that's just something that's distant and you're tired of doing it alone, so you'd like to have someone, there are resources out there. Just utilize them. Don't be ashamed for asking for help. Don't be ashamed to put what you're going through out there, because it might save your life. Please just take some time out and put you front and center. Put yourself on a pedestal and deal with you, because I would love to have you here. I would love to have you carrying on in a way that benefits you and that aids in your progress. So please, I know I'm a stranger to you, but you mean a lot to me. I am happy when someone chooses themselves. All right? That's what I wanted to share. That's what I wanted to shed a light on today, and I hope it helped in any way at all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.